A while back, if you've been watching the channel, I bought a 1998 Chevy Corvette, and a lot of people thought that was a weird car for me to buy. It's kind of an old guy's car, not really something that seemed like the sort of thing I would be interested in. So you can imagine their reaction when I suddenly had this 1957 Ford Fairlane 500. And honestly, the most surprised person is me, because this has never been my sort of thing. I grew up here in Wichita, Kansas, well, the Wichita area, and around here, let's just say that the car scene is fairly homogenous. Every car show is hot rods, T-buckets, 69 Impalas, all that sort of thing. Just all muscle cars, hot rods, 57 Bel Airs as far as the eye can see. So I was pretty tired of seeing them. Like, there's nothing interesting about it anymore. Oh, you have a flawlessly restored 57 Bel Air or a 69 Camaro. Cool. I shall now move on and look at something else. However, this kind of fell into my lap. I was actually running an errand for Hoovie, picking one of his cars up from the detailer Van Gogh, when I saw this sitting off to the side, and I looked at it for a minute because I couldn't remember the last time I actually saw a Fairlane, and I was just kind of struck by how much it looked like a knockoff of a 57 Bel Air. And Stuart, the owner of Van Gogh, said, yeah, that thing's for sale, $5,000. And what he told me was that this car belonged to a widow. It was her husband's tinker restoration project, and he had recently died, and she was looking to get rid of his old car. And you know, you kind of gotta buy the widow's classic. That's just a rule. Now, when I bought the car, I was told that it ran and drove, which is technically correct, but just barely. It took forever for it to start if it had been sitting for more than an hour or two. It seemed to not be charging the battery. It was pouring oil out of somewhere on the engine and running on 7 cylinders if we're generous, with massive amounts of smoke coming from, well, everywhere, but mostly the left rear tailpipe and also under the hood somewhere. So Grimes and I went and we picked it up and we drove it home and we almost made it. I stopped to fill it up with gas because I had no idea how much was left in it, and after that it would not stay running. It died several times. I had to come home and get a jump pack so that we could keep starting it so that we could get it back to the house, and it left a trail of oil all the way up my driveway, and there's a big stain in my driveway underneath where it's sitting right now from when we first got it home. But the car is mostly complete. Obviously, the paint is not original. It was redone in this sort of metallic blue and white two-tone. The paint is in pretty mediocre shape. There's light surface rust around the edges, though no major rot to speak of. The interior is mostly complete sans headliner. The engine is present, and it's a V8. I believe this is a 292 with a 2-speed, though originally it would have had the 312 with a 3-speed according to the sticker in the door, or the plate in the door rather. So who knows what's going on there. But the day after I bought this, we had our local Cars and Coffee, and lo and behold, there was a 57 Fairlane 500 convertible that was flawlessly restored. And suddenly I found it much more interesting because I got to see how mine should be, and oh boy. The main thing for this car is that I like a variety of experiences in my life. I'm kind of getting tired of owning a bunch of cars from the 2000s because they're all more or less the same experience. I want 80s car, new car, and something really old. And I didn't realize how cheap these were. I mean, $5,000 is a deal, yes, but even good ones of these, well, you can find them all over the internet for $15,000 to $20,000. Even on Bring a Trailer, these don't sell for much, and you get manual brakes, bench seat, no safety whatsoever unless you got the safety package, which gave you lap belts and a padded dashboard to smack your face into. For a while, I've been looking at Volkswagen Beetles or Karmann Ghias because those were in the $5,000 to $10,000 range, and I thought that was the cheapest you could get a car of this era. And fortunately for me, Grimes was just as enthusiastic as I am to experience this anachronistic piece of history, so we got right to work on it. What have we got?
Bore scope.
Yay.
I also have the compression test kit, but
we can scope bores.
Yeah.
Cool.
I want to get the valve covers off first.
Yeah.
After what we talked about with that other guy, he seemed pretty suspicious of the push rods, and these are known for it, so. Yeah,
it turns out Ford's first attempt at a pushrod V8, not stellar, as it turns out.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out.
Push rods are only a suggestion.
We need to figure out what it do. The sun reflecting off this fender is the brightest object known to man.
On the bright side, at least the valve covers come off with 2 bolts, which are 2 nuts, which are conveniently the same size as the spark plugs.
Yeah.
So you need 1 wrench to work on this.
Gobbles.
Yeah.
Boy, if it wasn't leaking from the valve cover gaskets before, it's gonna now.
What, cork gaskets not being great?
Come on. I don't know. A lot of time cork's better on... Is that cork?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather
It's just very nasty.
I've always had better luck with cork than rubber on these old,
oh, yeah, they put, like...
steel... Ew, it's smothered... Oh, well, yeah, sealant makes it stick to the... yeah, you glue it to the cover so that it's not flopping around when you try to put it on.
Yeah.
I'm remembering all these from the small block Ford, or small block Chevy stuff I used to do. Mm-hmm. So, we're looking for seized or otherwise shot rocker. I guess some of these probably going to have spring tension on them, so...
Yeah, those are under tension.
Valve adjustment's also important on these. That one kind of loose.
Oh, that one wobbles. Look.
Oh yeah, it's got a little bit of a bend in it.
That one's got a little tension on it, but...
Are the rocker arms themselves solid on these? Because I think they can, like... I think they can wallow out.
Yeah. Don't seem like they've got any excess play.
You were saying? Wait. Oh, there's no push rod. Someone stole my push rod.
What is... I think we could probably just adjust that out.
Yeah, it's fine. Just run it down a bit. How's the other one?
How big are your feeler gauges?
What valve is that? Intake?
Appears to
Yes, because the exhaust is here on the outside. Well, that makes a lot of sense then, because on the intake stroke, if the valve's just being closed all the time, then it's just pulling stuff past the rings.
Well,
and that's our smoke out the tailpipe.
Where is it?
It's gone. Just gone.
Is that like those the SEMA drive shafts? You've got a Bluetooth...
Yeah, it's a Bluetooth intake push rod. Well, fortunately, I guess we could just stick this down the hole and see where it is in there. See how many metal shavings we've got to deal with.
I don't want to even imagine that.
Wow, I sure do love seeing the screen.
There it is.
There it is. You're just laying there.
Yeah.
Is it broken in half or something? I kind of wonder if these like work harden and snap because of crap metallurgy.
I'm gonna take pictures so we can... Yep, there it is.
Found it. Let's see, other concerns that we were told about, or that I was told about. Who knows how old that Motorcraft filter is down there? Mm-hmm. It doesn't look terribly old, but that could have collapsed internally. And then the Venturi pipe, whatever it's called, those can get clogged. They're apparently supposed to recycle the oil, kind of like a CCV,
So it's just doing M54 things.
Yeah, pretty much. This is
instead of recycling, it's just dumping it on the ground.
Actually, a BMW. Yeah, okay. Well, let's whip the other side off, I guess. I somehow flailed around with the magnet enough to actually get the push rod most of the way out. Now we got the rocker arm out of the way, we're getting it the rest of the way out, so we can see just how bad this bad boy really is.
Banana.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, should be. Guess I just need to trust the process. Right.
Oh man, putting the air cleaner on, that's commitment right there.
We just yeeted another push rod in it and...
I mean, that's all you do. Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
That is a horrendous noise.
Ew.
Did you adjust lash when they weren't on the base?
Maybe.
Circle? Attempt 2 with Tyler playing his favorite instrument, the digital voltmeter, to see how much battery sag there is. Ready?
Yep. Ooh, 3 volts.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Let's put a thing on the battery. Do I have a thing in here?
I have a thing.
I have the O'Reilly Special. Really be helpful if I put clean in here. Aha. This time with less suck. Still getting a little smoke out of here. A lot of smoke out of there. Actually, that smells like unburnt fuel, which is probably just old car things.
It is not making the lightning. It is barely making the lightning.
Yeah. Coming out of the draft. Well, looks an awful lot like my oil leak was just loose bolts. Now, one of the last things that this is going to need before I can really run any errands in it is it needs to be charging that battery. This is the voltage regulator here. It just stopped clicking. It was clicking. That might need replaced or adjusted. Any leaks yet? 1 or 2 very small dribbles. Same place. Back to my original plan of just taking it off. Now that the exhaust is approximately 1 billion degrees, I'm going to take the cover off of this guy as well. See if I can't figure out what's going on there. So before I went buying any parts locally or otherwise, I thought I should inventory the completely full trunk worth of stuff, and as you can see, there was quite a lot of it, including a full set of the hubcaps that are on it, including one for a spare, so that guy can look real snazzy, an alternate set of hubcaps, an odd man out hubcap, and there's a lot of stuff here that looks like it's been replaced already. We've got the old busted up horn ring, the old taillight lenses. I'm going to try and go through this in some sort of order now. A light bulb kit, new window cranks, a pair of original radios, what looks like the original driver mirror, exterior screw kit, say that 5 times fast, wire sub-harness for the horns, springs for the window winders, some miscellaneous trim, and I have absolutely no clue what those are, a custom retro sound cassette / radio player, radio, I meant radio, 2 low horns and a high horn, the original, well, older carburetor, intake gaskets, which is very handy, dome lights, and these trim pieces that are missing from right here, which is super cool, more screws for some reason, a bunch of tune-up stuff. Those are the old plugs, used plugs. I don't know if that's a used oil filter. New points, bezel for the start ignition, a, what is that? Dash molding post, WS post molding to dash. Whatever that is. Dome light, don't know if I mentioned. What appears to be the busted older gauge cluster, except the new one also doesn't work. Full windshield molding, some new and also old cut V-belts, some new coolant hoses, and I don't know if this is
factory style seatbelt or not. I don't have the, but I don't have the attach points on the floor for it. I don't know how hard those are to add. I don't know. Maybe the threaded bosses are already there and I can just buy the O-rings that lap belt goes into. But a lot of very useful stuff right here, though. Unfortunately, nothing immediately useful to me. And I don't want it rattling around in the trunk, which means I gotta find a place to put all this. So give me a few hours.
One tip I was given with regards to this voltage regulator is to, well, with regards to the generator rather, is to polarize the generator, which involves taking the field cable, I believe, this middle one, and touch it to the positive with the engine not running. And there should be a spark. Hold it there for 5 seconds and put everything back. And that just makes sure that the generator works correctly with a negative ground system, I suppose. I don't fully understand it. I also think this might need some adjusting. I believe this is the voltage regulator. I don't understand how to adjust it. I think you bend this right here to change the amount of tension on this on that guy. Oof, spicy. And that should yeah, because the battery never drops below 12, so I think it's just charging at 12 volts, and that is a majority of our problem. So if I can just get it to charge a little higher, that'll get us going for now. But ultimately, I think the generator is going to go away and be replaced by an alternator kit. They're about $400. The name of the game here is a cool old cruiser that just works, and I think that'll get me there. Furthermore, in the name of just getting the car on the road, we have the road pipe thing down there. As you can see, it looks like the drain back into the block is clean. It was dripping from right here, right there. You can see it looks like it's got a nice fresh new O-ring on it. I took the cap off and put it in the ultrasonic cleaner. There were old bits of O-ring stuck to the mating surface here, so I cleaned that all up. And then I also did a trick I saw online, and I took the filter and I bent back the edge here so that when the cap squishes down on it, it has some give to it. And I think that might have been preventing this from pressing down with adequate pressure, and also obviously it wasn't sealing because there wasn't a good mating surface there. So between those things, hopefully this doesn't leak anymore. I still want to replace this with a proper PCV system in the future by building a block-off plate for that, and then plumbing a PCV into the top of the valve cover here that goes into the carb. I don't think this actually has the correct port on it, so we'll have to figure that out. Maybe I use whatever that threaded bung is right there. Who knows? A lot of people do it into the valley, but I don't want to remove the intake manifold to do that. That's actually how it was done from the factory on these. Really? On the later ones, they had a sort of a crankcase vent plumbed into the valley cover.
Well, you do have intake manifold gaskets.
I do have a set of intake manifold gaskets. Yeah, this is the... Unfortunately, this is the correct carburetor, so it doesn't have a vacuum line port on the back.
Yeah.
I could get a vacuum.
Well, I guess we can just drill right. I mean, this is...
Nope, it's got to be after the throttle body.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so...
Oh, you'd have to do it... Well, you have that phenolic spacer. We can just drill into that.
Well, that's what I was saying. You get a sandwich.
Oh.
A vacuum sandwich. Actually...
Sounds delicious. Can you get this at Subway?
I could maybe... I'm not sure what to do about the fuel pump yet. Okay. I kind of want to make the fuel pump work again, but we could just use that guy right there.
Yeah.
And slap a hose on there and run it to a PCV valve right there, and then we've got a modern style PCV. A little kinder on the environment, a little more reliable, a little less smoky.
You can't slap hose.
True, that is frowned upon.
Yeah. A pimp's love is different than that of a square.
Beyond all that, so we have no heater.
Yep. Like I just grabbed a line and it's
why would you go to all of that work instead of just looping the lines? They're right there. Goodness gracious. Okay, I'll order a heater core. I don't even. That's hilarious. Actually, maybe at this point we just buy an actual vintage Air.
Yeah.
If we have to basically gut the factory system anyway. Also, that blower motor is completely cacked. Yeah. It makes good noises when you turn it on. Anyway, The distributor still has points in it. I want those to go away as well, so I'll be getting the igniter module that goes in there. Basically, it just gets 12 volts ignition and then replaces this wire with another wire, and then you don't have points anymore. And it's like $100, I think. This car does look like it had a recent tune-up, which is reinforced by the fact that there are boxes of old spark plugs.
Oh,
that were in the trunk.
lovely.
So I'm guessing we're going to see a new rotor in there. There is a new points breaker there is a points breaker in a box. That looks like a really nice shiny condenser. All that looks in really good shape, actually.
Yeah.
I would put that back and not think about it because it works for now.
Yeah. If it ain't broke.
We're not letting perfect be the enemy of good enough in this episode of 57 Ford. Alright, I'm going to do this with the world's cleanest pliers. Touch to there. No spark. Interesting. There it is.
My credit score went up.
There we go. Simply resplendent looking can filter thing. Hopefully we are leak free. I think I adjusted the voltage. I don't know. It does make fun sparkies though. So I bent this tap down. I think that is the correct method. I guess now we can start the car and have a look-see. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, we went to O'Reilly's and Harbor Freight, bought a new brake switch and a new headlight.
I love that there's just a...
We're just doing decking now.
I love that there's a sheetrock screw holding in the headlight.
We're gonna replace this headlight here, which is not working. And yeah, let's see, what else? Oh yeah, we got a toolkit to keep in the car. Where's that? That's back here, isn't it? Yeah, nice little toolkit to keep in the car. Should have everything I need to do any repairs when this thing inevitably breaks down at a car show. And I'm going to...
Love that there's a self-tapper in that one.
Of course. Why wouldn't there be? Over here. This should be on the inside.
Oh!
Well, glad I noticed that here.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's recap. The generator works. The regulator needs some adjustment. I'll need to get a hold of a friend to figure out what that bottom relay does, that when I close it, it starts charging. Our throttle is effed. I'm just gonna take this cotter pin out, put that through, and then put the cotter pin. Now see, this will really amaze you. I can't see what I'm doing. Put the cotter pin. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? I'm really glad that happened here instead of on the highway. So, I don't understand how to unset the choke though. I was thinking that if I moved this back, it would unset that choke. Apparently not, though I do want to give this a half a turn, because when it goes to low idle, I'm gonna give that's the throttle stop. I'm gonna give that half a turn, because when this goes to low idle and it's in drive, it struggles to idle a bit. So we'll give it just a little more RPMs there. I have two questions. Where did all my coolant go? And what the hell is that? Ew. Okay.
New switch?
New brake switch. Fluid looks great in here. Wait, how is there more now? That's weird. I don't know. Let's just put this on here and ignore that. Let's go see if we have brake lights now. Head on back to the bed.
Apply directly to the forehead.
I shall apply foot directly to the brake. You ready?
Yeah. Hey!
Cool.
We got one. Wait, what about the other? Yeah! Now we just need to figure out turn signals and the passenger low beam, right?
Well, yeah. So my thoughts on that are as follows. That's the turn signal switch there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the wiring? Is it this?
It's Bluetooth.
Who knows? Is it that? Who knows? So, as a result, that's not getting fixed. That's getting replaced. I'll get a painless light wiring harness. It'll come with a fuse box, 12 volt supply directly to the forehead, and
Alternator conversion.
yeah, alternator conversion.
Modern voltage regulator.
I'm told that yes, this bottom one is voltage, so I think I need more spring tension on it. So I'm about to give more spring tension on it. Ooh, okay, I just accidentally gave it
All of the voltage?
all of the spring tension. I can't show it on the one I'm actually adjusting, but I think the one I'm actually supposed to be bending is
That one.
right here where the spring attaches to. This is very easy to bend down and up. So this bottom one, I bent it down. And we will see if that gives us charging voltage. And we will add some water into our cooling system here.
I thought we just unloop the heater core and flush the whole system.
Well, yeah, we could just hook it up to the garden hose right there and just run water through the stupid thing until it comes out clean. I really want to drive this though.
Yeah.
Now that we have brake lights, I'm okay with being on the road.
And it isn't overheating. Well, at least according to the 80-year-old gauge.
Yeah, temp gauge, it probably doesn't work. And we still don't know if it's actually still dumping oil or not. So really, we know nothing, Jon Snow, but we do have brake lights, so that's a win. And our throttle linkage will now not fall off, which is generally what you want. Okay, let's see if it charges now, and yeah, it's ready, one bump of the key, here we go.
Nope, 12 and a half. 13 and a half.
Hell yeah!
So we have alternator charging.
We have alternator, generator, right? Wait. Okay, so we have brake lights, we have battery charge, we have less of a cooling system than we expected. I forgot to check if that was dripping, but
Start it again. I will check if it's dripping. Got some blow by, but no drippy.
all right, that's definitely better than it was. Let's just get some water in there and we'll go for a drive.
Yay! Jake, you can't do that. That's German coolant that you're putting in there.
Yeah, it's the clear stuff.
Well, so hopefully the generator doesn't catch fire, right?
Yeah, I'm curious if this temp gauge works. It's at cold right now.
It seemed to work when I was driving it.
Okay.
It came up to almost halfway. We don't know whether or not there's actually a thermostat in there, but YOLO, I guess. The last time we drove it.
Oh, that's half throttle. It actually moves.
Hey,
It keeps up with traffic. Keeping up with a Ford Fusion. Wow. We do have a radio for this that has a cassette deck and a...
Well, that's where the radio goes.
Yep. Yeah, I think this just pulls out.
I don't. Let's see how well Jake brakes.
Honestly, for 4 unassisted drums,
Yeah,
this is not the worst thing ever.
my Galaxy was that bad too.
We're idling. Eurasian Bob had that Jeepster, which
Yeah.
also had 4 unassisted drums. It was way worse than this.
Yeah.
Gotta do the arm out the window. This is wild.
Tolerable even.
Yeah, no, we're dragging Douglas. We're doing the Wichita thing
Once it
because there's nothing else to do in the Midwest. We drive up and down a straight road all day. What do you mean, entertainment? This is it.
Well, we made it to frozen yogurt just as the car is starting to, I don't know, get warm, perhaps. So we're gonna leave it here, and we're gonna come back to this after we have received sustenance. Sound like a plan? How hard do you have to pull this? Oh my goodness. All right, let's answer some questions. How much coolant?
Yes.
Oh, none of it.
No. It's just got
some blow-by.
lots of blow-by.
Oh, that smells nice.
Lots of hotness. Well, at least the generator's not on fire anymore.
Yeah, it didn't use any coolant though. That's weird. One trip to the parts store later, we've got an thermostat housing gasket. That'll be that guy right there, and then we're going to attempt to flush the block and the radiator. What we didn't get is coolant, so that'll be fine. This is the little toolkit that we got at Harbor Freight. I think this will be very nice to just keep in the trunk of this car. I wanted this specifically because it has screwdrivers and sockets and wrenches and pliers and even some wiring stuff. Even a little miraculous. Even a little test light. So pretty good for old car shenanigans and chicanery. These feel like they're made of crap though, so probably not exactly something that you want to live out of.
Yeah.
That's just rust water. There's no antifreeze in that.
Yeah, I don't think so. It looked like orange coolant, but that's only because rust.
Yeah. So you can't see this, but I can.
Iron block activities.
That
Oh. Yeah. That had a 160 in it.
Oh gosh.
That's concerning. Somebody's been trying to hide overheating problems.
Huh.
Yep.
Bye.
Yeah, their little bypass channel here was completely clogged with funky and gunky.
Brass monkey.
Mm-hmm. No, it was actually this that was in there.
The heck?
Just chunky, oxidized things.
Nice. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Usually. I have garden hose attached to
in different area codes.
The old. Oh my gosh. Why is it full of chocolate milk? Yeah, so I have new radiator hoses that were in the trunk over here that we're gonna put on. So these we care about not. So, though I'm trying not to destroy them too much in case the new ones don't fit for whatever reason, because, you know, that's the sort of luck that we operate with. Oh, chunks.
Mm-hmm. Should probably run CLR through that almost.
Oh, shit. Okay, well, not the most concerning thing in the world.
Take a drink. It's still kind of cloudy.
Please, my child, it's very cloudy.
My child is very wet.
Tyler, it's time for a block party. Time to see what sort of horrors come out. It's brown water. I don't know what I was expecting. That actually got clear really, really fast. Well, the waiting begins. Upper radiator hose is on. Coolant neck is in existence. And now we wait a few minutes and let that set.
Yeah.
Then test drive and yeehaw. So I was out enjoying this thing the other day. I just went to drive it to go get the title with my girlfriend because she hadn't really ridden this much. And of course, the car decides to die while we're out. I got it running again and took it right down the street from where I was picking up the title to Pit Stop Automotive, which is where Grimes works now. And we took a look at it and determined that nothing about the fuel system was really set up right. What's up?
Well, you broke that.
It sure did. It just kind of... I went to go pick up the title and it said no and stopped running. So it kind of rejected me as an owner, but I'm not going to let that stop me. Also, all my coolant disappeared. So maybe I hook up a pressure tester to this sometime and see where it's coming out of. I've heard that sometimes the freeze plugs can get damaged. Yeah, and since it's so hot, it just evaporates immediately.
Yeah. Of course, you'd think losing that much coolant, though, it would be...
Well, there's a lot of smoke and various vapors coming from
everything
under the hood here, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I thought you didn't work on domestics.
You mentioned wanting air conditioning, and since we discovered that this has a Vornado underdash unit, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, Vornado's a local company here, so it's kind of neat having a locally made air conditioner. Apparently these were installed at Sears, right?
Come back. Yeah.
No. Bye.
Sears would install those units. I suspect this probably had a York-style compressor like my truck does.
That's a Sandon, right?
Yeah, this one's a Sandon style, so, and it's a 4 Seasons. So somebody swapped the compressor. It is an R12 system, but we're gonna charge it with propane.
Yeah.
So don't try this at home.
Comments will love that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so R12 and propane are almost identical as far as a refrigerant.
Yeah.
As far as the pressure temperature goes. So, I mean, propane's so cheap, instead of, you know, just throwing R12 at it and hoping that it works and doesn't leak, we'll just fill it with propane. And it did, when I pulled the Schrader core out to put the 134 adapter fitting on it, because that's what your propane tank has on it.
Yeah.
It's a 134 fitting. It had some pressure in it.
Yeah.
So it's holding something. So it's not a massive leak. And, you know, with as long as this thing sat, who knows?
Yeah.
Like, these hoses aren't, you know, these hoses are super permeable, so.
That looks like a convenient vacuum port there. Huh.
That?
This.
Oh, that. Yeah, I was gonna say, that's coolant. That's probably where you bleed the cooling system from.
Oh.
Looks like.
Huh.
Of course, it doesn't really look like a plug, but it's so gross. But, yeah, that does look like a convenient place to put your PCB.
Yeah. Huh. So over here on the workbench, unfortunately I don't have my shop manual with me. Wait, yes I do. I do have my shop manual with me. Crap. Well, regardless, there was some sediment in the bowl. Down there was disgusting. This is definitely a pretty recent carb. The jets, they're both, what are they, 46 and 46. And they're both perfectly clear. I just kind of sprayed some carb cleaner through various orifices and got all the crud and schmoo out of the bowl, and I guess I'll just toss it back together, and then we need to stick it on the 4-post and hook the fuel lines up correctly. Because right now the fuel line is hooked to the tank drain, so any sediment that gets stirred up in there just immediately goes into the carb.
Oh. That.
Even though there's a filter that in theory would be doing something, it is not doing something, so.
So the question is why?
Because if it's lower, there's more capacity, is I'm assuming the reasoning.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. So if you watched the video where I went and picked up this little orange nugget, you might recognize this guy. This is an Edelbrock Spinny electronic fuel pump, and I'm going to be installing this down by the tank itself instead of above the tank and 10 feet in front of it. So this will actually have some head pressure, it'll self-prime, and it'll actually get the fuel where it needs to go consistently. Also, this thing was making coolant disappear at quite a rate. So I found my test kit, my radiator pressure test kit, popped it on there, and immediately just realized that on these old cars, you really got to bear down on the radiator clamps, hose clamps, that is. Got her pumped right up, and I think we found our problem.
Guess I'll have to adjust that hose a little bit near the barb. Well, at least that's straightforward, but that's a pretty decent leak. I already have a wire run to the front of the car. It's just kind of following the factory harness up and then under the carpet along the tunnel and then through the firewall up here at the front, and that is going to hook onto this wire here that was previously powering the clack-clack. On the way home from pit stop, this actually died on me, and I had to suck fuel up so that it could just barely push it into the carb bowl. It actually died right at the end of my street. It just barely filled the bowl once, and then I just hauled balls down my road and coasted into my driveway because it ran out of fuel halfway up the street. So that was a very fun time. So I'm just going to, there's a filter right off the tank. I'm going to install this in place of the filter. Oops. Hook it up to power and ground, probably just ground it to the chassis under the car somewhere, and away we go. Let's see, I think I shall do the wiring before I go and get covered in gasoline. The question now is, where do I put the ground? Well, it is certainly not the most elegant thing in the world, but it'll get it down the road. And yes, I know this is plugged into the drain. That's how the car was when I got it. This is the actual fuel pickup, and there's hardly anything coming out of her when I tried to suck fuel through this, so tank's gonna have to come out at some point, but you know, she'll ride. Black specks coming out of the, oh, that's coming out of the outlet side of the fuel filter. I think I'll go to the parts store and get a new one of those. So now up here in the engine bay, I just got to connect my wire my hot wire coming from the new fuel pump to the red wire here that was powering the old fuel pump. Looks like it goes over there to that resistor. I don't know what all that is. This is where the old fuel pump was mounted. I don't hate this too much. I'll probably mount the fuel filter here because it's a nice serviceable location. What I don't like is that that's a metric screw, which means I got to get out my tea drinking tools in order to get it out of there. Also, you know, plumber strap, really? That's what we're doing right now. All right. Well, at least it's not a self-tapper, just a wood screw. Well, that's as connected of a pair of wires as I've ever seen, so we're just going to do a quick Keyon test and just see if it primes, makes noise, squirts fuel everywhere, and then we can go to the parts store. Wow, that pump is silent. I could hear the sound of fuel going everywhere, so I guess we know it works. I couldn't see it, but I can smell it, and it is everywhere. Hey, well, you know what? We cleaned off our frame rail a little bit. Guess this means I'll go ahead and put my tools away, because all I should need from here on out is a flathead. Well, I guess I got to put that strap back on. Suppose I can probably conclude my radiator pressure test. I put her at 1 bar, and it looks like it's dropped less than a PSI in about 45 minutes that I've been running around trying to find tools and stuff. I think that is a perfectly acceptable rate for, what, a 70-year-old cooling system? That is all right by me. She's installed and hooked up. I topped off the radiator. I'm even confident enough that I put the air cleaner back on, so let's see if we get joy out of this. Sure hope so. I'm tired of taking this apart every 30 seconds. Old car life, I suppose. What is going on with this? Why? Might need a second to fill the bowl. I guess it is probably empty. There we go. Like a kitten. Well, let's get her off jack stands and go for a cruise then. experienced this. I think I'm just going to laugh anytime someone calls a car newer than 1970. Well, I guess the old Fleetwoods and stuff count. Any car newer than 1990, a boat. They're not a boat. This is a boat. This is truly the boating experience. You get power sometimes. Actually, let's see, how's she running? She moves. Not a lot of power. This thing feels every bit like, what, 140 horsepower maybe? Which, given that the horsepower rating for this thing is probably SAE net, or SAE gross, 150 horsepower probably isn't all that far off. Well, this thing sure is an experience, and it's an experience you just can't get in a modern car. You know, you could die at any moment. One of the reasons I never used to be all that interested in these was because old cars like this, you know, classics, were really, really expensive. I was kind of into Volkswagen Beetles and really wanted to get one of those because I thought it was the only way to get that really different, primitive driving experience. But here I am for $5,000 and what, a couple hundred in parts and a couple days of work, and I have myself a perfectly drivable, I wouldn't daily it or take it on a road trip, but a usable classic car. And it gets attention everywhere if that's your thing. I don't really like being accosted at the gas station at every opportunity, but sure, I'll listen about how your dad used to have one or whatever and then sold it and you wish he hadn't. It's fine. I'm not entirely sure what the future is going to hold for this car in my possession. I would like to get a headliner in here and fix a couple more reliability issues under the hood. I'd like to do an alternator conversion and a solid-state ignition conversion and a PCV conversion. Really update this thing to the glorious 1980s engine technology-wise, but that should really help with its usability. Well, reliability mostly. Probably some efficiency gains to be found there as well. And then I would like to fiddle a little bit with the jets in the carb. I think it's jetted too lean. I pulled out the jets and they were 46s, and the service manual disagrees. It says they should be 55s or something like that at this altitude. Not that we're especially high, just this altitude. So there we go. This is my 1957 Ford Fairlane 500. It is pretty fair, to be fair, and in a lane. Thanks to Stuart at Van Gogh for giving me the hookup on this thing and dropping me a lead. And thanks to all my Patrons for supporting me even when my upload schedule is an absolute disaster like it has been lately. And thanks to all the rest of you for watching.